and Ron DeSantis, because you both talk a lot about pro-life, your record. And that's my number one issue, and the cry of my heart is justice for all people. And I've been, vocal and celebrating with you all of your pro-life victories from the past. But then in this campaign, you've also blamed pro-lifers for some of the GOP losses around the country, and you've called heartbeat laws like Iowa's terrible. And so I'd just like some clarity on this, because it's such an important question to me.
Okay.
I'd like for you to reassure me that you can protect all life, every person's right to life, without compromise.
So that's a great question. I appreciate it, too. You wouldn't be asking that question, even talking about the issue, because for 54 years they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it. They wanted to get it back, right? You wouldn't have that. There would be no question. Nobody else was going to get that done but me.
Yeah.
And we did it, and we did something that was a miracle. Tearing our country apart for 50 years, nobody's been able to do anything. And again, you can only ask that question, and you ask it brilliantly, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. I love where you're coming from. But we still have to win elections. And they've used this, we have some great Republicans, and they're great on the issue, and you would love them on the issue. And a lot of them have just been decimated in the election. Decimated. I mean, absolutely. So we're going to come up with something that people want and people like. I would love you to, first of all, you have to go with your heart, okay? You have to go with your heart first. Go with your heart, your mind, go with it. But you do also have to put in there a little bit. You have to win elections. But if it weren't for me with Roe v. Wade, you wouldn't even be talking about this. You wouldn't be asking that question, because we're right back. I remember this. They're the radicals. We're not the radicals, because they'll kill a baby. Remember, I had the debate with crooked Hillary Clinton, which I don't call her crooked anymore. I use it now for Joe Biden, as you know. I call her beautiful Hillary. She's a beautiful woman. But in the debate with Hillary Clinton, I said, she's willing to rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month. And, I never heard this. It happened to me. It just came to me during that debate. I didn't go up there thinking I was going to say that. And she even winced. Nobody wants to see that happening after a certain period of time. Nobody. They're the radicals, because they're willing to kill the baby in 8 months, 9 months, or even after birth. If you remember the former governor of Virginia, where he said, you kill the baby after the 9th month, or even after you set the baby aside and you have a conversation with the mother. And if the conversation, can you imagine? But these are the radicals. We're not the radicals. We are not the radicals. But we're living in a time when there has to be a little bit of a concession one way or the other. And I think, I want to get it right. I have to get it right. But without what I did, you would never even be asking that question, because there was no chance that was going to happen. For 54 years, they campaigned on that issue, and nobody pulled it off but me. So I think you're going to be happy in the end.
And there it is. Donald Trump calling his involvement in overturning Roe v. Wade and stripping women of their right to bodily autonomy a, quote, miracle. So when Trump inevitably tries to convince voters in November of 2024 that he's moderate on the issue of abortion, just know that right now, when he thinks he's only talking to the extremists within his base, he is admitting out loud that he's responsible for the Dobbs decision. And by the way, he's already signaling that he's going to pretend to tack left on this issue. He's saying publicly that you have to say certain things to win elections, but wink, wink, nod, nod, you're going to be very happy. Generally, when you tease that you're going to deceive people into voting for you, you do it in private, not on national television in front of the very people who you're then going to have to convince of the opposite of what you just said. And look, the reason here is obvious. He thinks the voters are stupid. In fact, he is so certain that the voters are stupid that he has zero qualms about saying something now that he'll pretend he didn't say later, when it becomes a more inconvenient position in the general election. That's how much contempt he has for the people who support him, for the people whose votes he's trying to gain. That he'll gaslight them to their faces because he thinks they're either too dumb or too ill-informed, or both, to know the truth. But remember, it's Trump who's the populist. And of course, to try and justify what is objectively one of his most reprehensible positions, he misrepresents the Democrat stance by claiming that, in fact, it's the left who are the radicals. In a country where Republicans are seeking to jail doctors who perform reproductive health care, where Republicans are seeking to punish women who seek reproductive health care, where Republicans are looking to prevent interstate travel for women who are seeking reproductive health care, where Republicans are looking to impose bounty laws to encourage vigilante justice against women who seek reproductive health care. But sure, it's the Democrats who are radical. Got it. And yet, still, that doesn't stop him from suggesting that Democrats are ripping babies out of the womb in the 9th month or after birth, which, of course, is utter nonsense and nothing more than naked fear porn for gullible suckers. But as far as abortions in this country goes, here are the facts. According to the CDC, almost 99% of abortions occur before 21 weeks. Republicans love to frame this as liberals just nonchalantly aborting babies on the day of their delivery as casually as we choose our Starbucks lattes, but that is not what's happening in reality. Again, virtually all abortions are happening before 21 weeks. And so think about why those last 1% of women are getting abortions after 21 weeks. The reasons range from fetal anomalies to health risks to the mother. And so banning abortion after some arbitrary date isn't going to stop the kinds of hysterical reasons that Republicans fearmonger about, like infanticide, because infanticide isn't actually happening. That is a figment of Republicans' imaginations. All it's going to do is impact the 1% of women who are already dealing with some major trauma. Again, 99% of abortions are happening early anyway. The only post-21 week abortions are the result of some major complication. That's who's being impacted. That's who Republicans would be making life more difficult for. The women who are suffering due to some unforeseen issue or complication. Republicans would be targeting the very women who are already dealing with immeasurable pain. They would be finding the single most vulnerable, desperate, heartbroken women there are and imposing an unnecessary burden onto them for solely political reasons. And let's be clear, Republicans know that, but they're saying whatever they need to say to pander to the base to win an election. Because it's not about helping others, it is about helping themselves. And by the way, it's also worth noting when Trump says, "We're not the radicals," this is famously something that you have to say when you're not a radical. Everybody knows that moderate politicians are constantly out there insisting that they're not the extreme ones. So when Trump says that Republicans aren't the radicals, just know that you should definitely take him at his word. And let's be clear, the Biden campaign has zero intention of letting this fall by the wayside. They've issued a statement saying quite simply, the following is a statement from Donald J. Trump. For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it. Why? Because Donald Trump and his mouthpieces on the right will do everything in their power to memory hole this moment right here, to pretend that it didn't happen when they're no longer pandering to an extremist right-wing base. But we will not forget. So expect this moment, along with other admissions taking credit for the overturning of Roe, to play on repeat as we inch closer and closer to November. And even if you've seen these clips once or twice or 10 times, you should applaud the fact that Democrats have learned the importance of repetition. Because while you may have seen it already, someone out there is seeing it for the first time. And until every last voter in this country knows that Trump is responsible for this wholesale attack on women's reproductive rights, we shouldn't be satisfied. The last two elections have been a referendum on this issue in particular, and they've gone the Democrats' way. And we should have every intention in the world of making sure that the 2024 election is no different. Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to the channel and do your part to help grow the progressive media ecosystem. I don't do sponsorships or paid ads, I won't ask for money, but just subscribing to this channel goes a really long way, and it helps get the message out to more people. The subscribe button is right here on this screen. You can also subscribe to my Spanish language channel, which I made to reach those crucial Spanish-speaking voters. That link is on the screen too. And finally, if you want to listen to my audio podcast, you can follow that link as well. Thanks so much for watching.